At its core, a civil dispute is a direct, one-on-one confrontation. One individual claims a legal right, and another denies it. But the reality of civil litigation rarely stays that neat. A single incident quickly splinters into a tangled web of overlapping claims, involving multiple victims, multiple perpetrators, and ancillary figures. To organize this chaos, the Indian legal system relies on the Civil Procedure Code, specifically the framework established in Order 1. This section of the code serves a specific function. It dictates exactly who is permitted and who is required to sit at the table before a court will adjudicate a dispute. Grouping the wrong parties creates a structural flaw that can destabilize the entire case. Omitting one specific type of required entity from your initial filing will cause the legal proceeding to collapse. The initial architecture of a suit determines its final legal viability. This makes the precise assembly of parties under Order 1 the most critical stage of litigation. Consolidating multiple plaintiffs into a single case is a strict mathematical calculation, not an arbitrary choice left to the lawyer's convenience. Order 1 Rule 1 governs the specific conditions under which multiple individuals are legally permitted to join forces as plaintiffs. They must meet two strict conditions. First, their right to relief must arise from the exact same act or transaction. If three individuals are injured simultaneously by the exact same accident, their legal claims share a unified common origin. Second, there must be a common question of law or fact connecting those claims. The court must be able to resolve their dispute by answering the same underlying questions. This structural logic applies equally to the defense side of the courtroom. Order 1 Rule 3 dictates that the exact same dual logic requirements apply to joining defendants. Multiple defendants can only be joined into a single suit if the claim against them arises from the same act and shares those common legal or factual questions. For example, if two individuals collaborate to execute a single coordinated fraud against a victim, they meet both criteria. Rule 1 structures the plaintiffs. Rule 3 structures the defendants. Both demand the identical nexus test. Without these two connecting factors, cases must be forcibly separated. This prevents the entire judicial system from descending into chaotic, overlapping trials. Once the parties are joined, the court evaluates them. It does not view all participants as having the same structural importance. The legal system categorizes these individuals into two distinct tiers of weight and necessity. The highest tier of legal importance is the necessary party. This is an entity whose presence in the suit is required for the court to pass a valid decree. In a dispute over property title ownership, the actual registered owner is a necessary party. In the absence of this core entity, the court cannot issue a judgment that is legally binding or executable. The secondary, lower tier is the proper party. A proper party is an entity whose presence facilitates a thorough adjudication, but is not mandatory for the court to issue a baseline ruling. A witness or a highly involved ancillary figure fits into this category. One acts as the irreplaceable, load-bearing foundation. The other acts as useful scaffolding. Correctly identifying a party's category dictates whether their absence is a procedural inconvenience or a legally fatal error. There is a common professional anxiety among litigators that any naming error on a suit results in immediate dismissal. These errors usually fall into two categories. The first is misjoinder, the act of incorrectly attaching an irrelevant party to the lawsuit. The second is non-joinder, the failure to attach a legally required party to the suit. The Civil Procedure Code handles these errors by prioritizing substantive justice over technical administrative perfection. Because of this priority, the general rule of civil procedure is that a simple misjoinder does not result in the dismissal of a case. Even the non-joinder of a proper party is a curable defect that allows the suit to continue. The court ignores the irrelevant entities and proceeds without the helpful ones. But there is a specific exception to this resilience, the non-joinder of a necessary party. Failing to include the entity required to execute the final judgment causes a structural collapse. Any decree issued from that defective arrangement is legally void. The civil suit is resilient to procedural clutter, but it is fragile to structural absence. How then does the legal system prevent a single missing entity from permanently denying a plaintiff justice? The solution is found in Order 1, Rule 10, a built-in judicial curing mechanism designed specifically to prevent these structural collapses. Rule 10 authorizes the court to modify the suit's architecture mid-process. The standard method is straightforward. Involved parties file a formal application requesting the court to add or delete an entity. Rule 10 also permits the court to act sua motu. Sua motu means the court takes action on its own initiative. It corrects the structural defect and adds the missing party without waiting for an application. The mechanics of Order 1 are not designed as procedural traps. They are blueprints utilized to formulate valid decrees. Accurate joinder is the prerequisite for adjudication. It ensures the right parties are present to deliver justice.